Hello everybody and welcome back to your Corsair Gaming Arena coverage here. Today I'm Durko. We're heading into the grand finals, a best of three between TNC and Rave. Now this one's the big one. Grand finals, $1,500 for first place, 500 for second. And we've already seen a pretty interesting start to the draft. Scant, my co-caster, Drow in the first phase, banned out by Rave.
Yeah, and the Queen of Pain.
And the Queen of Pain, the two blue-skinned ladies.
Very clear respect for TNC. And TNC start with the Leshrac and Earthshaker, so they're pretty comfortable going somewhere else. I mean, they must have known that at some point someone's going to respect them. It's what happened against Team Malaysia in the previous version of this cup.
Yeah.
I think they won the first game with their draft strategy. The second game, Malaysia were like, you got to do something different. And what we saw that game actually was TNC switched to the sniper instead of the draw when they couldn't have it. I don't know if that's a good option now with the nerfs to sniper in 6.84. I don't know what you think about that.
It's still a reasonable hero, but it doesn't give you that same prowess in the lane where you can just crush pretty much any of the mid heroes. I'm not sure if it switches to like a safe lane role. He can do decently 1 versus 1 against a number of offlaners, but it's always going to be a rough lane up or match for that sniper. Now TNC so far, it's kind of what we saw from G-God in the previous game, right? Early magical damage in their draft so far with Leshrac and Earthshaker. Good ways to split up a team fight and try and demolish someone. But Rave with the Undying second pickup here, along with the Gyrocopter. There was a recent change for Luna, so then now Glaives bounce between zombies. I'm not sure if we'll start to see her come up against Undying when Gyro's picked or banned, and you can't have that as an option. But there's very few ways to actually deal with Undying zombies. You have to focus the Tombstone, but if you focus Tombstone, you can't clear the zombies themselves. There's only 3 things that can do that: Split Shot, Flat Cannon, and now Glaives. So,
I have a question along the lines of what you asked last series. Or 2 series ago, you were asking, can Tree use armor on Tombstone? Does Leshrac's Edict hit Tombstone?
Oh, I'd say yes, but then with so many zombies around, it's difficult, right?
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
So I don't think that would be too relevant, because there's like with the zombies around, you're gonna have like a clump of 3 or 4 heroes. Potentially Leshrac could get the Edict down onto it, but it's difficult to say. So Clockwork Ban, Shadow Demon and Viper, Rave don't want to give TNC any setups for the Leshrac stun, defensive or aggressive.
I really like the Clockwork Ban, because that's actually, when I think back to game 2 of the series, TNC played against Malaysia, which Malaysia won that game convincingly. Clockwork was a big part of that. Do you remember that Clock Batrider off lane? And the Clock was just splitting them up and like stopping TNC from ever being able to have the kind of fights they wanted. So I was almost a bit surprised they didn't ban the first phase, but I suppose they think the Spirit Break is better at that, and the Wisp is harder to play against.
Yeah, entirely possible. And Rave do love that Wisp, giving it to Chrissy. They've done some great things. At the Summit, some of their best performances were with Tiny and Wisp. So it's a good shout. Treant, though, banned out by TNC. Now, what do we see here from TNC to actually buff out their lanes? Because we're seeing, elements of strong lanes, but if you don't have the further additions to them, Earthshaker needs someone to protect or guard, or needs someone to set up for. Leshrac could be that hero, but then Leshrac needs protecting for the first 3 or 4 levels on lane. If he's solo safe, he can do well in a 1 versus 1, potentially against Undying or whoever the offlaner is. It's always very hard to say, though, with these 2 heroes in particular, Leshrac and Earthshaker, what roles they will actually be fulfilling. Because last game, we saw Earthshaker in a core role.
Yeah, and I mean, both of those heroes could be cores. They could both be supports. They could have more or less 3 supports, as I was discussing early in last game. TNC would go for the Razor. So TNC just like the thing that's in common with both the sort of major playstyles they go for is that there's normally aggression involved. There's normally, we're going to do our thing, we're going to beat you involved. And that's, like you said, for Malaysia, doing a pseudo death ball in 6.83 before 6.84 even came out. TNC, I think, a similar case, where they've adjusted their playstyle but to the new patch. But it's largely speaking the same thing. We're going to play our game and make you react to us. We're not going to play your game.
So often, when you're watching a draft progress, it can be quite obvious when you see, sort of tier 2 teams start thinking, okay, we have to counterpick this hero, we have to counterpick this style, we've got to try and work around the enemy team. But sometimes that can, get under your skin. You start thinking, okay, well, if this isn't working, all of our plans to counter them are failing. why not go back to just playing your own game, getting as strong as you can in laning phase, especially. That's what people always come back to in this patch, is strong lanes win games. Sometimes we've seen the things fall through a little bit. You know, Na'Vi the other night up against the VP. They don't care about strong lanes. They go for their own stuff. But TNC here, they can make up the numbers with that Nature's Prophet. They can have him on the off lane. I think this was another hero we saw them play up against Team Malaysia. But Rave with their 4th pick, Gyrocopter Undying, they've got good lane sustain, lots of magical damage burst there. Witch Doctor with the cask, he can stop up Leshrac and Earthshaker very early on into the game. What is their 4th going to be here? Do they leave their mid to last, do you reckon? Is this going to be their off laner next, or do you think Undying heads up to that top lane?
So this particular situation, after just discussing how the better teams don't always just directly counterpick, I think the Nature's Prophet maybe calls for something. Right, you don't want to have, if Rave set up a 5-man strategy, the Nature's Prophet can split push really effectively against them. They want to have either a hero that can kill it, or a strong enough 5-man that they're not worried about it splitting.
So
because otherwise that hero on its own like it controls your game plan too much.
Chrissy Storm, do you reckon? It's always a good hero against Nature's Prophet. Zip across, Vortex. Can be susceptible to Fissure from Fog, though.
I think Chrissy Storm could be really good, yeah. I suppose the downside is you could see the Nature's Prophet with early Orchid. Maybe you could see TNC going ahead and 5-manning, and then the Storm doesn't help a lot. But I think you're right. I think if Rave are not, you know, if they don't have TNC in their heads too much, if they're feeling confident in their own plays, a hero like Storm could be good. Even a Chrissy Batrider or Puck. One of those classic Chrissy heroes just feels very suitable to have an answer to the Nature's Prophet later on.
Yeah, elusive in team fights, something that can lock them down, but also go and, you know, split push and chase people on his own. And I think one of the biggest things, like, there's a multitude of things in this new patch where you really do have to watch out for, but so many of the teams that, you know, consistently win games, they not only have, you know, a catching hero, like Clockwork, like Storm Spirit, something along those lines. They have a catching hero to get in there first, and then the follow-up wave of, you know, secondary initiation. But, you know, the secondary sort of stuns and lockdown comes out. There's the Storm Spirit. But chasing, I think, is incredibly important. Because if you do start a team fight, and the opponent disengage, and they blink, they run, they force staff, Glimmer Cape, that wonderful item that was added to the game, you need some ways to chase. Storm Spirit offers you both of those things.
Yeah, and this is something I think quite impressive about TNC's playstyle. The playstyle that they developed for themselves and chose. I said it's been adjusted here and there. They've had 1 or 2 different types of it. But what you'll notice the similarity in all of TNC's drafts is that they have at least 2 heroes which have long range abilities. Like, yeah, they've already got the Earthshake with the long range fissure, the Nature's Prophet can TP in. So they've always got ways for their team to sort of get together fast, or react to something fast, or suddenly have a numbers advantage fast. And I think that kind of general long range thing has to do with why they favor the Drow so much. It's not just about, oh, Drow is a cool hero that gives everyone damage. It's that this is another hero that just affects the rest of our heroes on the map from no matter where it is. I think that's something they've understood really well. That's, you know, allowing your heroes to like help each other from a long distance is a very big advantage right now in Dota.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at that respect though from Rave, banning out the Clinks against TNC. I don't want that annoying little bugger running around and killing people in a couple of hits.
Yeah, so they've banned the Clinks, the Drow, and the Queen of Pain. 3 heroes that were in the last draft, all 3 cores. So serious respect actually. Will be the Bounty Hunter. Now this is a hero that seems like it should fit the playstyle of TNC, but I don't think you and I have I don't think they've run it in official. I'm not sure. Maybe they have.
I've not seen it, but I didn't watch too much of MPGL. I just caught the sort of results from that. I've seen a lot of Southeast Asian teams running this, though. We saw a bit of it at the summit. You know, VG were playing it a little bit. I can't remember who else, but you know, there's a bunch of teams that have been throwing this around. VP is the big one that comes to mind from Europe, though. VP running it and giving that over to Solo. He runs around. He had like a Dagon 12 minutes into the game or something as a bounty hunter the other day. He could do some ridiculous things. But TNC here, bounty hunter. It looks like it's going to be in the 4th spot, right? It's going to be support with the Earthshaker. Then T here is going to be Leshrac Core, Razor Core, Nature Core. Looks like the way they're going to do it. So Bounty, a lot of his potential early on in the game is forcing the offlaner out. Forcing the offlaner or someone like that away from a comfortable farming position, making sure they're always on their toes and scared about where the next gank is coming from. But then mid-game, it's all about the track. You know, getting these kills, non-stop pushing into towers and making the most out of that track gold is a massive deal.
Yeah, and what better hero to complement the idea that we like having long range impact than a bounty hunter that just tracks up everyone and you have all that information. Um, People need to be scared when they're tracked, when they could get fissured out of nowhere and Nature's Prophet and Bounty are on them. But Bounty Hunter definitely a hero, especially I agree at the summit we saw it a lot. I think Cloud9 were running it as well, but that's the thing. It seemed like a hero that was hit and miss. It seemed like the games where it won, it was a big part of winning.
Yeah.
In the games where the Bounty Hunter strategy loses, you don't actually see the hero make much of an impact at all. It depends a lot on the early game and how much control it gets. Does it get a courier snipe? Does it make some kills? Does it make space, or is it just
Oh, we're going to see a sentry already. Fisher will lock Jo, but they've got the observable, which is the big deal here. Deny out from the Nature's Prophet, cheeky devil. Not allowing that 50 gold to go the way of the Radiant. But yeah, I fully agree. The times where we've seen Bounty Hunter succeed, we also saw it in the MLG Americas qualifiers, where NAR were, I think it was NAR playing it, might be in someone's Rift, but he looked okay in the first like 5 or 6 minutes, but then 6 to 12 minutes, you realized how much impact he had. Just the fear factor. You know, it may not be apparent straight away actually what damage he's doing, economical and mentally to the opponents, but just him with an Orb of Venom with boots running around sniping couriers, forcing dragging creep waves back, and he basically forced the Bristleback to die 5 times and not get any farm. That was how much impact he had in that game. So yeah, we'll watch out for AU on this Bounty Hunter, going up to Chrissy on the Storm Spirit in middle lane, fighting up against Teehee on this Leshrac with Split Earth level 1. There's already a sentry preemptively placed in middle lane though, waiting for that bounty. So great from Rave there, already aware, very aware of how much impact this bounty can have. 7 on the Earthshaker, currently at bot lane with Nature's Prophet, Sam up at top, and Noji playing the Razor, while Ninja Boogie and Rio, Undying and Darkseer respectively. Did I miss someone? Jo Gyrocopter, Jo Copter, and Cast on the Witch Doctor. Middle lane though, we're seeing a grouping of heroes here. AU Bounty, 7 Earthshaker, Chrissy, if you get Fisher here, looks like you might just die. You know, Fisher, Split Earth, couple of hits from Bounty. Looks like they're going to go in now. Lightning Storm to slow him down. Chrissy stun, double stun. No, the Split Earth doesn't land and he's not blocked in. They'll go for the right click attacks. Lightning Storm slows him down and just enough for Earthshaker to get in there with a right click attack. First blood goes the way of TNC. Now that's a great start for them. It does mean that 2 supports were kind of forced into this middle lane while Undying and the Darkseer are doing a very good job up at top. But that is just the start of things to come.
Yeah, it's another trend we've seen with this team, and with teams in general that try to snowball in the early game, dominate early on. They very often gang the mid lane early on. And this lane, by the way, I know Chrissy's a really good Storm, but this is a very favorable lane for Leshrac, isn't it? I mean, yes. I guess there's a fast bottle on the Storm that should help, but I feel like until Storm is level 6, Leshrac should control the lane pretty effectively.
Yeah, especially now he's hit level 3 a little bit earlier. The fact that he's got level 2 in Lightning Storm, it's such a great mid lane tool. You can push creep wave out, control equilibrium, get runes, you harass. It just does everything at once that you want from a mid laner, right? You're doing damage to the enemy hero, you're controlling the lane. It's just amazing. An absolutely amazing ability for Leshrac at mid. And it's also one of the reasons why we see him do so well in 1v1s on the safe lane. You know, against Clockwork, Bristleback, whoever it may be. The supports stay up with Leshrac at top for a short while, then all of a sudden, Leshrac alone, 1v1. Hey, look, maybe I can go in here, get a sneaky kill. Hang on a second, no. Lightning Storm does like 300 damage, 260 damage at level 4.
And now they've countered the sentry, and Chrissy's not going to be able to cross the river this game. I mean, it's... Oh, top lane is some trouble.
Oh,
I thought Razor was in trouble. Actually, he turns it around.
Noji? Are you going to fight this 1v1 Ninja Boogie? One more attack, one more decay, salving up. Noji is going to escape here. The Earthshaker doesn't have a Fisher just yet. Needs another 20 mana or so until he can get in there, but AU's ready. Jinada with that Shadow Walk, and he gets the last hit, the kill. Undying and Darkseer, they were getting aggressive, a little bit ballsy, but you kind of expect them to get at least 1 kill for their efforts. Not getting anything at all.
Yeah, and by the way, one of the keys to success of this Bounty Hunter, I mean, he hadn't done a whole lot yet. He had already got level 2 before he rotated here, and it's because he got the bounty rune. It's something that I've noticed, like when these roaming support bounty hunters get the bounty rune, it often helps them a lot, because the level 2 is so key on this bounty hunter.
Yeah, very true. He now has his Orb of Venom as well. He'll be looking towards middle lane for another go. They have Fisher, Earthshaker, standing, waiting in the wings at the back. 7 He's actually moving back up to top, though. He needs to give some assistance over to this Razor. Well, bottom lane, how is the Nature's Prophet faring? He's going for the null build, it looks like. Oh, middle lane, Chrissy, yeah, you're right. Start things off with a Lightning Storm Splitter to follow. Now AU along with TE. Looks like they have got enough damage. Chrissy, one more hit. Down he goes. No miss uphill. Earthshaker with a Fissure, just locking cast in place. The Witch Doctor came in at the right time, but Nature's Prophet has actually entered the fight, looking for the Sprout, but not going to land it onto that Witch Doctor. And the rest of his team, they back themselves up, fill the bottle over on the Leshrac, and Gyro is left alone.
I was actually just about to point out, like, notice that these kills mid and top have happened without the Nature's Prophet rotations, and that's just an extra tool in their arsenal. I mean, he rotates their late, doesn't really get much done, but I mean, the TNC have been making kills in the other two lanes without the extra teleport, which is always available to them. So even if we see like an extra hero maybe rotate for Rave, then Nature's Prophet just comes and we just get an extra kill. So it's a very tricky situation for Rave to be in right now, and I think fundamentally what they need is Chrissy to be level 6. Once he's level 6, there's a lot less pressure on them, but if he dies again before he gets there, it's really big.
I like this from Jo. He's picked up a Quelling Blade, and that really is indicative of, you know, he knows about what you're saying right now. The threat of Nature's Prophet TPing in with the help of Bounty Hunter and Earthshaker, whoever it may be, he knows that he can die. Regardless of him being a Gyrocopter that's level 6 with cooldown and level 3 Rocket Barrage, they can still kill him. He's not tanky. 720 HP is minimal for a Bounty Hunter who has level 2 Shuriken. Oh, they're going to go for it. Bounty is moving in from the side, 7, prepping with the Fissure. He's only level 2, but level 1 Fissure should be enough to just stun him. No! Jo backs up. Radiant Observer Ward is going to be here, but where's the go? AU is looking in the fog, looking in the side shop. He wants to refresh that Invis, but also looking for any supports that are standing behind. And now JO's in a rough spot. Goes deep into the creep wave. They'll start off. Right click. No, they're not going.
Oh, they're onto it somehow. They sense the aggression, and here's the Undying now. This could turn around on TNC. I think the Gyro and Undying might be enough. Yeah, TNC gonna, I think, pull away now. Because I actually think 2v3, the Undying and Gyro win that fight if it happens.
Yeah, I was just keeping an eye on middle lane as well. Storm Spirit was getting a little bit aggressive there with the Witch Doctor towards that Leshrac. He forced them back to the tier 1 tower. But Rune Control.
Chrissy's level 6.
Chrissy's level 6 and has a haste rune. So he could just go straight up to top lane and maybe take down Noji on this Razor. Bounty picks up there by the Leshrac.
Razor's going to be a key hero in this game, I think. The way I was discussing Brood last game, saying the Brood needs to have an impact. Razor's a hero that gets lost in games if it doesn't have the right kind of game, so... let's just look at mid. Chrissy's used his haste rune. He's definitely looking to do something.
It's nighttime. He doesn't have a point of Vortex though, does he? He's going for the pretty regular 2-0-3-1 build. Just the farming and lane harass build with the 2 in Remnants.
They can't kill this Bounty Hunter.
It's done. They've got no reveal after that Sentry. Yeah, Sentry is placed pretty deep here, but not deep enough. Top bot lane though, they're looking to go in here. Maybe onto Sam? No? Treants block out the Gyrocopter's advance, and this is how TNC like to play when they don't have the items just yet. They're split thin across the map. Razor up on top is alone. Earthshaker and Bounty are sort of this roaming duo, making sure that they bolster the lanes, and there's no real, opportunity for Rave to push too deep behind towers. And then Leshrac was mid and now is farming jungle. Oh, top lane. Fissure, Darkseer, Nature's Prophet TP's in, and that's a kill out of nothing.
I really like the decision for Leshrac to go into the jungle and Bounty Hunter to go mid, because Bounty Hunter level 2 is very big, but then from there it's kind of like you really want to get to level 6 as fast as possible. And AU actually bought a bottle, which he ferried to himself and back. And he's sort of taken on this mid lane just to get that level 6 while the Leshrac can farm the jungle, can maybe go push a lane if necessary. And Track's going to be online really early actually in this game.
Oh wow.
I think that means that if, in 7 minutes after now, we see another 5 kills for TNC and those are all Track kills, all of a sudden you've got a very big problem if you're Rave.
Oh yeah, how are we looking now worth-wise? The Gyro and the Storm are doing a very good job keeping up and farming. That's what we see a lot from Rave. Gyro, great farmer, but a lot of this does come down to the tier 1 that they've just taken at bot lane. Leshrac slowing him down. Nature's Prophet TP's in. Sprout the cooldown to follow, but Jo is already dead with the Fissure landing. He takes the last hit. He might have wanted that to himself, but great kill onto him. Jo just, it again comes down to stepping out of bounds. You've gone that one step too far. You're looking for that one last creep, the one creep wave you want to push into that tier 2 and assert this pressure. and then you give up your own jungle, you give up tier 1s, you start to look a little bit rough. But they do have Darkseer up on top lane with Chrissy. They'll be looking to take down this Razor probably. Darkseer, Iron Shell onto Storm. Look for the jump. Still no Vortex. He's gone for 204. Level 8 is the sort of standard timing to get that Vortex on the Storm Spirit. Yeah, sometimes, you know, you kind of expect it to come one level earlier on 7. But sometimes it's even 9 that people pick up the Vortex. Just really preferring to farm a lot more efficiently.
I think TNC might just drop their safe lane tower. They just got the enemy safe lane tower. Nature's Prophet doesn't have ulti up yet. If the tower survives long enough, they might go for a fight. But one of the things, I mean, we saw that kill bots. One of the beautiful things about the way TNC always have some long-range heroes is that whenever the enemy team does step a bit out of line or a bit too far, they've always got a way to punish them for it.
Yeah.
And it's not like, you know, usually if a lot of heroes suddenly kill you, you can think, oh, what are my teammates doing? Space created. But if those heroes get onto you from long range, then it's not really space created.
Now, you mentioned Nature's Prophet Orchid. It does look like that's what he's going for. It's going to be a lot faster than any defensive items on Rave. BKB on Gyro, BKB or Linken's on Storm Spirit. Darkseer susceptible also to the Orchid. He's going for a mech, but there's nothing that can stop it, get them out of it, or defend themselves from a Nature's Prophet silence.
Yeah, and you got to ask the question, what do Rave's heroes achieve when the game is standoffish like this? I mean, Rave is in an awkward position now, right? Because the Undying does nothing.
Chrissy is dead.
That's a track kill as well.
Ow.
I mean, this, like, I think it's symptomatic of what I was trying to get at. If you're Rave now, if you split up, they're gonna pick you off. If you group up, they might win the fight, they could split against you, they could stall you while they split. And if you're taking these small fights, I'm not so sure. Undying is like, right now he feels like a tombstone. That's what the support does. And you need the enemy team to kind of like run into you and fight in a certain way for that to be relevant. And I think if TNC are intelligent enough to not play that way, then you've got at least one hero already, the Undying, which just doesn't have a role right now.
Yeah, like with the Undying, you kind of need to prep yourself for a 5v5 team fight, right? So you're going to have 2 heroes ready and waiting, and then maybe TP2 in. And that also means you have to force TNC into a position where they have to 5v5 fight. And how do you do that without splitting up and pushing into towers? Well, they're going to find a pick off here onto AU, the bounty hunter. Gets caught by the dust, he's going to earn up, force as much mana as possible. Good Fisher, but it's not going to be enough to save that bounty.
Yeah, but that kind of is space created, and this is exactly the comparison, right? Because 4 heroes have to come to one spot to kill the bounty hunter, and Razor got a lot of space at the top lane at that time. It wasn't like they could just instantly teleport there or long range do things there. I guess the one thing that works in Rave's favor in this game so far is that, what I was saying before, the Razor, the way a Razor wants to play, he wants to get mech and then group with his team and push. And because of that, we are going to see the Tombstone and the Darkseer and stuff like that have a role. I think that if TNC didn't have the Razor, it would be easier for them to avoid those 5v5 clashes. But I just don't see what the Razor's doing in this game if they're not going to 5-man at some point.
We mentioned Nature's Prophet can sort of TP in and help out team fights and things like that, and you can kind of see Leshrac going for boots of travel, but obviously not for quite some time. I don't know. Razor so far has been farming jungle pretty damn well. He's, what, 500 away from his mech, defending tier 1. Right now, his job has been to draw Rave to top lane, so that Nature's Prophet and Bounty can move towards mid and bot, and this Invis Leshrac, oh, they're going to bait into this. The smoke is dispelled, the Fisher onto 3. It looks like T is going to go in. Finds the Earth Split on 2, but he's ripped apart. Chrissy, no, the Pulse Nova takes him down, and T the Leshrac, one by one. Going to have to walk through the Darkseer wall. But this Tombstone is racking up the zombies with a decay, with the zombies on the 7. Earthshaker's going to smoke himself and get away. T though, turns on the Pulse Nova, will not get Ninja Boogie, gives his life away, but it's a 4 for 2, 5 for 2, as Nature's Prophet walks in and cleans up. That's TNC at their strength. That's them walking 3 versus 5 and still winning.
Yeah, so this is,
without
come
mech.
back to the Razor question, right? Razor's going to have mech, and he wants to push. Well, the really worrying thing for Rave is if Razor gets his mech, TNC group up as 5, Rave get the kind of fight they draft once and they lose it. And based on that last fight, I think that's a real possibility.
I think they just could not focus the Leshrac fast enough. He moved outside, cooldown, wall, vacuum, there were no spells that could hit him. Bounty Hunter was there saying, hey, look, I'm the target you guys want, right? Don't allow me to get track kills and stuff out there. But Jo with, you know, limited damage output with Flak Cannon. He's gone for max Rocket Barrage, max Flak. He doesn't have a Yasha or a Lifesteal. He's going for a Sand as his first item. So he's looking for that S and Y. Then you kind of look at Doxir. Level 2 Vacuum. Okay, he's gone for the stock standard build. The 4 and Ion Shell now very useful. But Chrissy was just demolished by that Leshrac.
And look what just happened here. Bounty Hunter goes and scouts Chrissy farming his jungle, tracks him, and Chrissy has to roll away. And that's because Nature's Prophet's very close to his Orchid. And if he suddenly has an Orchid and Bounty finds a Storm farming alone, that's like pretty much a kill, I think. I think Nature's Prophet Bounty Hunter with once he has Orchid is enough to kill Storm.
Yeah. 872 HP, so that's what, like 950 when he's on Strength Treads. Get him with the Orchid, throw the Nature's Wrath from halfway across the map. Bounty Hunter in, what level? Is it level 4 Shuriken? Yeah, of course it is. Level 4 Shuriken. 1 in Janata, 1 in Shadow Walk, and now he's level 7. You know, he's looking pretty good. Urn, Orb of Venom, Bottle. My one massive problem with Bounty Hunter is he is so freaking squishy. His stat gain is awful. 1.8 strength, his agility is agility gain is good, but I mean his strength gain as a stat in the current meta is incredibly important. You need HP to survive. You need to be able to soak up some damage. So he is still, you know, pretty open to just getting jumped on by the Storm Spirit, Maledict, and Rocket Barrage if he's caught out.
Yeah, and that's why I think the one balance change to Bounty recently was a really clever one, which is that his Shuriken has shorter range than it used to. So it kind of like it gives the Bounty Hunter some tricky decisions sometimes. You know, he's gonna be squishy. He wants the Shuriken if there's some tracks that could bounce around, but he needs to go reasonably close to do it. He can't just do all of his things from far away.
Up at top lane, Chrissy, 7, standing off. Does that Remnant see him is the question. Yes, it does. Chrissy knows. Chrissy knows. He sees the Earthshaker. The Earthshaker doesn't see him. They're going to jump in. Chrissy, Zips and Remnants. And now 7. He's got the Fisher. He's got Echo Slam. Oh, he's not going to catch 2. He will catch them with the Echo Slam because of the Vacuum, though. In comes Sam. Nature's Prophet. Orchid down onto Chrissy. They've found the Storm Spirit, but they don't have any further stuns or any damage to actually bring him down as AU is coming in to join the party. But they've lost 2 heroes. The trade-off, what is it? Razor pushes bot. Leshrac well, he was moving up to top lane to try and fight. He'll find a haste rune up at the top spot, but that was a little bit messy there from TNC.
Double damage.
Yeah, but it does feel like one of those cases where like TNC didn't want those deaths, but it's not going to cost them that much. It's definitely a mistake involved. The Nature's Prophet probably shouldn't have bothered TP'd in to try save. But I don't think that's on its own a big turnaround. I mean, the turnaround for Rave in this game is going to come where there's a 5v5 and Rave wins it.
And that takes
my worry. Yeah, exactly. But my worry for Rave is that you get the feeling the first 5v5 might involve Rave losing it. And if they lose the first big 5v5, it's difficult to see their route back into the game if that happens.
Well, Chrissy is skipping over the Bloodstone for now and heading into an Orchid, it looks like. This is not too bad. He's 2-4-2, but his jungle farm has been impressive. As always, with Chrissy on the Storm Spirit, he's done very well. They're going to get a little bit of pressure applied to their tier 1 at mid with the Edict level 4, which is something we do not see in Europe. We see max, sort of 2, 3, 4 levels in Split Earth. It depends on the player. Okay, first of all, Ninja Boogie. See ya. Just bye. No chance of surviving. JOTP's in the middle of 5 of them. Orchid up and dead. That is a miss move if I've ever seen one. They're going to look to try and take down his Tombstone with a couple more hits. 2 hits here, 3 hits from the Razor, and they'll finish that off. But boy, oh boy, Jo, that gyrocopter.
This is what I meant before. I mean, we saw the Earthshaker and Nature's Prophet die. And I mean, there's no way you can say that's comparable to the Gyro and Undying dying here. It's like, both times it's 2 heroes dying. But it seems like a much bigger deal for the Gyro and Undying to die here. I mean, they've just lost 2 towers. And they're already behind in the game.
And then Medallion on the bounty, so Roshan starts opening up. BKB nearly done on the Razor. Everything is starting to pile up here. You take a look at the overall net worth lead. You know, Rave, they got something back. They were farming well, like I was saying. Chrissy in the jungle, top lane, they got a couple of kills, which is gold in the pocket, right? So they took this 5,000 lead to about 3,000. They dropped it by, you know, 1,500, 2,000, something along those lines. Then after this, you mentioned two towers, tier 1 and tier 2 mid. Out of nothing, pretty much. Out of one missed TP from Jo. That was what allowed it.
Here comes that 5v5. It's coming.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
indeed.
is it
Bounty
coming?
goes in Viz. Dust Sentry both pop to try and find him, but they're not going to see it. Zip, zip, zip. Chrissy jumps into the Roche pit, and they're going to try and take it down themselves. The Tombstone's dropped up on the high ground as
TNC.
Chrissy remnants. TNC, it looks like they're giving this up. Bounty has walked back towards mid lane. Roshan is dead. They will get the Fisher. Plasma Field to follow, but Aegis the Immortal goes up onto the Storm Spirit. Now they're looking to fight. The mech, the Storm Spirit jumps in. Now the cooldown, but Echo Slam keeps Chrissy in place. He's healed up by the Undying, but he's got Aegis the Immortal. This is a fight the Rave wanted. Rocket Barrage onto Sam, and they've got 3. Chrissy respawns, and they'll look for a 4th. AU walks into the Sentry, and that's what that was placed for. Leshrac TE trying to do as much damage as he can, but at this moment, it's a consolation kill, if anything.
Yeah, that's a mistake. That's a big and costly mistake from TNC.
How big is that swing? Chrissy doesn't die here, does he? He's getting dropped. Maybe
He's pretty much out of mana.
TE, okay, well, Leshrac
He-
is a boss apparently. Uh-oh, I was looking at the fight recap, I was like, should I close it? Is he going to die? Okay, I better close it and follow this with the camera, because he is actually going to go down now. The swing there was, pretty hefty for, for
I gotta
Rave.
say, I think most Leshracs don't even consider chasing in that situation. And it again speaks to, it's the same thing Teehee did on Klinks. He just has a very acute understanding of how far he can go, when he can kill someone or not. And it really helps Archer. And now because they get a tower out of this as well, it was a big mistake by TNC. They started rush, they couldn't commit to it, they couldn't take the fights, they backed off, they lost the rush, but they've gotten rid of the Aegis already, they've gotten a tower on the back end of it, and
Yeah.
it's difficult not to see it that way, that like when things happen that are bad for TNC, it somehow feels like not as bad.
It's like the deficit that TNC could be at right now could be massive. Like, you look at the net worth graph and the sudden spike from 7,500 to 5, that could have gone to 2.5. They could have lost a good 5,000 of their 7,500 lead in net worth. Maybe it could have gone back down to 0. If you don't factor in the tower, the kill on Storm, all of this kind of crap. And then Rave, their experience, they're actually in the lead by 1,000. It could have been so much bigger. So yeah, I fully agree. Even though TNC lose out there, it could have been worse. But that is the first step for Rave to get themselves back in this game. Sound and Yasha's done on Jero. They're building up items in the Gyrocopter. Ninja Boogie, now he has Urn and he's building into Blade Mail. They're actually getting their progression going. And the big thing here for me is Rio on this Darkseer. He had a rough time, but now he has Pipe and Mech completed. Storm nearly has the Orchid. Not too far away from that recipe, so the first aggressive item from Storm is there. We were looking at TNC and saying, okay, they've got this item, that item, and all these items which can do everything. But now Rave have the items to actually counteract them.
Well, Raze is pretty close to BKB. That's quite a significant pickup as well. And I still want to say, despite that rush fights, we haven't seen a proper 5v5 fight yet. And I still think that the first time we do see one, where it's kind of like 5 heroes running at 5 other heroes, like Battle Royale, proper fight situation, I think whoever wins that fight's gonna be very decisive for the rest of the game. Both teams trying to sort of like play coy with taking that fight. I think they both have an understanding that a big victory in a 5v5 team fight could be extremely significant. I mean, in that respect, you're right. It's significant that Rave kind of did win a sort of 5v5 fight, but it was very split up. It was, there were a lot of pressures involved going in and out. Wasn't a straight up 5v5 fight.
Yeah, Bounty had moved over, the preemptive sentries were good. Earthshaker has picked himself up a Blink Dagger, so that could be, some swing of momentum towards TNC. Nature's Prophet, nothing yet after the Orchid, but he does have 2,700 gold in the bank as Noji on this Razor has a BKB. So once again, Rave have these items which are a step in the right direction, but TNC have some good teamfight items of their own. The Bounty Hunter, with Vitality Booster giving him some of that raw HP. I said he was, missing quite heavily, with the Medallion on top of that. Leshrac, nearly Octarine Core. I think that's the big one that I left to last.
Yeah. It's gonna be massive, I think. It's gonna, once Leshrac has Octarine Core, if we do see a 5v5 fight, Rave have to kill him first. I don't see a way for them to just fight through constant spam of Leshrac spells. And if some of them are trying to kill him and some aren't, he's gonna lifesteal through it, he's gonna fight through them. So they need a plan for just completely controlling the Leshrac at the start of the fight.
That's the big thing. If you all focus Leshrac and you don't kill him, the rest of TNC is going to tear you a new one. But if you leave sort of Leshrac there to his own devices and none of you focus him, he's going to crush you completely with his magic damage. So, who, like, if, let's say hypothetically, there's a 5v5 at mid right now, in the river, in between these two ramps. Initiation-wise, you kind of got to say that Rave start off better. Storm zips in, they get the Orchid, they get the cooldown, they get all this initiation power. But then in comes the Echo Slam. Leshrac, if he's not killed instantly, and with 2000 HP, it's pretty difficult to do unless you Maledict, Death Ward, Orchid. Everything goes on to this Leshrac. Bounty Hunter tracking, Mech from Razor. Counter initiation-wise, TNC have the upper hand, but there are so many factors that go into these team fights, like who jumps first, what's the positioning of the Gyrocopter, can he get flat cannon hits, can he get barrage hits, can the Witch Doctor Maledict people, I think, is going to be massive here. Without BKB over on the Leshrac and Bounty Hunter, if he hits a cast onto two people and it bounces, he gets Maledict and Death Ward, things could go Rave's way.
I think Darkseer is the big hero for Rave.
Is Jo just straight up dead here? Earthshaker is, yep. Sam with the Nature's Wrath. Earthshaker, Blink, Echo, Chain Stun into death, and that's Gyro. No BKB yet, he's desperately trying to get into it, but that's the debut of Blink. Now Rave, no. Look at that, spam pinging, let's go. Storm Spirit, Chrissy says, thank you very much, you killed my mate, but I'm going to kill you. Swear on me, mum.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very split up situation. I think Earthshaker for Gyrocopter is a pretty good trade for TNC. They're probably going to get the tier 2 in the top lane as well. Get a track off. Undying used his tombstone, so it's there's no contesting that tower.
Radiant's top tower has
and that's another. I mean, and tombstone is a bit like an ulti. It's like a pretty big cooldown ability. When it's not ready, you know you can push your limits a lot further. But before the Gyro gank started, I wanted to say it's the Darkseer for Rave. The same way we were talking about the Leshrac and how they have to handle him. Darkseer's got mech, he's got pipe, he's got wall, he's got vacuum, and if he gets a big vacuum and a big mech and a big pipe off in a fight, I can absolutely see Rave, 5-0ing that fight.
Yeah.
But similar to the Leshrac, if they manage to control the Darkseer, limit his abilities, maybe Nature's Prophet gets an Orchid on him at an important time, or they just burst him down, then I find it very difficult to imagine Rave winning that fight.
I was going to ask, what's his next item? Blink seemed like the obvious choice, and indeed he goes for that. Great initiation tool, but even better counter initiation. He can hide in the fog, dodge out what you were saying, the Nature's Prophet TP and Orchid, the Earthshaker long range Fisher. This is going to be difficult without vision here for TNC to actually see him, find him, catch him, and stop him from throwing his arsenal of spells down in these team fights. They do have some decent warding here. Watching out for all of these jungle camps. The Dire have put a lot of emphasis on stopping Rave farming their own jungle. Also middle lane, but this does leave top lane, open. Nature's Prophet could get caught here, but Rave, they're not making a move towards top. They're actually grouping up as 5 down towards this bottom lane, and they're not going to find these observer wards with that sentry.
I have seen Rio carry Rave before on Axe. I think it's the only hero I've seen him carry them on though. Well, what I mean by that is it's usually Jo and Chrissy with the big gold, the big items, doing the heavy lifting later on. But this game, I really think it's all about Rio. I think it's gonna be quite a while before Chrissy and Jo have the right items to like win the fights for their team.
Well, TNC were looking for a little play on Storm. Roshan respawns in 40 seconds time, so a decently quick respawn there. If TNC can scat it out, I'm not sure about their chances going into that Rosh pit and killing it before Rave react though. They don't have something, like a Drow or Clinks. They don't have that physical damage to bring him down really quickly. With the Medallion, okay, Bounty Hunter, he kind of amplifies their damage with that. Well, he does amplify their damage with that, but who's doing the actual physical right-click? Razor? Not really, until he static links someone.
And Leshrac's running around with this haste rune. Yeah, I guess Razor wants to static link the Gyrocopter, which, I mean, it gives him damage. It also takes away all the physical damage, or most of the physical damage from Rave. I suppose they have the Death Ward, but this Corsair's never going to have Aghanims this game. I don't know if he's even going to get to level 11 soon.
Yeah,
There's a lot of magical damage actually on the side of Rave. I wonder if anyone on the side of TNC would consider going for a pipe.
That's a good question. Who? The Bounty Hunter maybe? But he wants to finish off Solar Crest. With the Vitality Boost, could go Rod of Atos. Crimson Guard wouldn't be awful here actually. Up against the Undying.
Maybe the plan for spell damage is BKBs. Nature's Prophet has one, Razor has one, and Leshrac could go for one next. And who needs a pipe then?
They are trying to kill off Roshan. It's not particularly quick, but they've got Treants to tank. They've got the Medallion, Split Earth, magic damage. Yeah, of course, there's Edict. That is one thing I kind of overlooked. The Edict damage is pretty big up against the Roche. No contest from Rave. Nothing to get in there and stop them.
Yeah, do you think... I think Rave no and just decide not to go.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I think it's a... You know, the previous Rush fight, because Rave was set up already and had a lot of information and sentries, it was easy for them to take. I think this one, they feel they'd be walking into a trap. It'll be a good position for TNC to know how to fight, and they'd rather defend their high ground. I think Rave sense that it's a big 5v5 loss for them is the end of the game.
Yeah.
And a big 5v5 win for them is like equalizing the game quite substantially.
Like, they were looking for Geo's BKB. Oh man, Fisher not gonna land. But yeah, they were waiting for Geo's BKB, which he has now. But the fact that Teehee can, you know, with impunity walk up onto high ground, sure, he's gonna die now, lose his first life. That's a pretty big kill. I thought maybe he could escape and keep the Aegis the Immortal, but with the Tombstone, the Rocket Barrage now cooldown, the Vacuum is not there. It's on cooldown for 10 seconds. Geo running into the midst. Where's the rest? Where's Sam on this Nature's Prophet? Where's the rest of TNC? BKB is on cooldown now, and I wanted to point down before the fight began, he has no buyback. Buyback availability right now is Storm Spirit. That's it for the Radiant. So if the rest of the team dies, you could be looking at racks, if not worse.
Nature's Prophet wasn't there, but what they've done now is they've baited out the wall and the Tombstone. And is it possible? No, I guess TNC want to actually go back. Razor used his BKB and his mech. So maybe for a change, actually, TNC not all on the same page there, because Sam was split pushing a lot. Didn't come into the fight until very late. I thought it meant they're going to push after the cooldowns were gone, but TNC opting to actually just go back, reset a bit. Maybe they'll wait for the Leshrac BKB.
I think the big thing there is a sort of, if the Fisher hits, and if it lands on, you know, Witch Doctor +1, which maybe the call was, like, oh, I got him. Then Leshrac goes in, gets 2 kills, and then backs up. But the fact that Witch Doctor didn't get hit, he was able to turn himself around and, you know, then put Geo in a good position to actually swing the fight. There's all these little factors. I think Leshrac did put himself into a dangerous position, but I agree that maybe they weren't all on the same page and they didn't think, oh, we're going high ground now. We're going to go and get these kills and wipe them off the face of the map before we take the tier 3.
Yeah. And if there's one thing we could say about Rave, this is a team that almost always are all on the same page. They understand each other very well. They have a good team sense. We said when they were playing against 5-Ever earlier, it just looked like they were more together in their movements. And it's something they'll definitely exploit against another team, if even just for, you know, a couple of seconds the other team's not all on the same page.
Well, there's your BKB for Storm Spirit. Not really the item, you know, Storms want to buy, but it's an item he has to buy against a Leshrac who is dishing out so much magical DPS right now. AU over on this Bounty Hunter, 1800 gold in the bank with a Vitality booster. Still not sure what he's heading into yet, but Gyro, he needs damage. He needs lifesteal, he needs damage, he needs just so much more to make an impact in this game. They're actually going to try and bait him out here, it looks like, or bait out the Nature's Prophet TP, Earthshaker Blink, something along those lines, because Geo, he's pushing pretty far up here. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, he's not using Flat Cannon right now, maybe just saving it in case there are multiple people who react and come up to top lane. TNC not having a single bit of this nonsense. Pushing down mid as 4. 5th man is Nature's Prophet over on the side.
Yeah, and TNC, it seems to happen quite often to them, but I just feel like the difference maker is going to be when all their cores have BKBs. Their Shrik's getting close to his, it's the last one they need. And we spoke about how the Darkseer is the one that has to win the fight for Rave at the moment. He doesn't do much against the BKBs. And as you said, Gyrocops is just not there yet. I think if, you know, maybe if Geo finishes a MKB or Butterfly or something before Leshrac gets BKB, but there's no way that's going to happen. And I think that point at which Leshrac has BKB and they've got 3 cores with BKBs, that's a point where TNC should be very favored in a 5v5.
Oh man, they're going to walk into them. Razor, I am not sure if he caught vision there of Chrissy. Doesn't look like he did. Well, they're pinging out now, so they've got some kind of idea where they are. From the side, yep. Bounty Hunter going to scout out 1, going to scout out 2. Leshrac is coming in from the side. They don't see them just yet. The 2-man split earth starts things off perfectly. Chrissy silenced now by the Nature's Prophet. He pops his BKB. He'll be able to get a little bit further away, but the Fisher into track, into death and destruction as Ninja Boogie wiped off the face of the map. Rio down at mid lane and Geo at bot. There was just no way to react.
Yeah, I have one very simple comment about that. What Rave were doing there, the way they positioned in the enemy jungle, thinking, okay, we're a few heroes together, it'll be fine. Even if someone runs into us, we'll kill them. Against a bounty hunter, you have to have true sight to be doing that.
They have no
You
gem,
can't
they have no
camp at one point.
sentries.
No gem, no sentries, nothing. Like you can't camp a spot on the map against a bounty hunter unless you have true sight.
They had
Because it's
dust,
got
but how actually Witch Doctor, he has a sentry now. I don't know if he had it before.
what there definitely wasn't one placed there. Is the
No,
point, and
yeah.
it's just too easy to turn around your ambush when there's an invisible hero and you have no way to tell that they scouted you.
Cooldown is big into the vacuum wall. Looks like Sam's going to go down here. Nature's Prophet taking a hefty amount of damage as Chris using the backlines. The Deathboard's still going, and now Tombstone from Ninja Boogie is dropped. 2 are dead over on the side of TNC. And Rave chasing them out of their base. Teehee, Leshrak, can you turn? Can you fight? 16 Bloodstone
BKB's
charges.
yep.
Pipe, oh, he's got his BKB, you're right, turns back, and now it's 1 versus 5 time. The cask, the shurikens, everything bouncing around, and the buyback from Nature's Prophet sprouts him up and takes him down. TNC swing that fight from what looked like a complete retreat. Good call on the BKB because Teehee said, thanks, Courier. Perfect timing. I'm just gonna walk myself around with my 4 little legs, and I'm the shiny rainbow horse of death and doom.
It did cost the Nature's Prophet buyback, but at the same time, I think if TE had that BKB at the start of the fight, there wouldn't even be a fight. It made a big impact when it came in, but if they start a fight and he's already got it, it's just the fight dynamic's not going to be Rave chasing TNC. It's going to be TNC chasing Rave from the start of the fight.
Like Chrissy did a great job zipping in. His BKB was on cooldown, I believe, so he didn't actually get to use that. But I don't know, with Mech and Pipe, Rave felt invincible. They felt like, okay, we've got a great chance at going in here and actually making this fight work for us. The cooldown was good, vacuum wall was good, but at this stage, you've got to say that good isn't enough, right? They need exceptional usage out of their ultimates.
Well, they've got a Demon Edge now on Jer, and he's getting there. If you look at the net worth, he's finally gotten into the top 4. I think it's the first time the whole game we've seen him there. And that's, I mean, for Rave to win this game, they need to transition from a point where it's about Rio and Chrissy to a point where it's about Jer. They need the game to last long enough so that Jer is just really big and he's winning the fights for them. And I think that's not too far away now. It's maybe 10 minutes away. Oh, Chrissy might find Sam here at the top lane.
Was Chrissy Iron Shelled up? Did that just give it away?
I think something gave it away because there was a TP in right away.
I moved I flicked my camera up here really quickly when I saw Storm Spirit moving in, saw he was invis, and I think my eyes saw an Iron Shell on him hit like a Treant, but I'm not entirely sure. Not 100% on that. Now, Aghanim Scepter's done for the Razor, so he'll just use that to farm up some Ancient Creeps, like why the hell not. The Ultimate Orb on the Bounty Hunter is the big one that I'm looking at, and I'm going to flag here. Hex over on the Bounty. Lincolns, there's not too many things to stop with that Lincolns, right? There's got to be a Hex for the Gyro or the Storm.
Yeah, I think it's a Hex. I can't imagine what else it would be. And I think maybe TNC wait for the rush, get one last rush and then go. And to be honest, if they get the rush again, which is coming up not too soon,
Pretty
couple
long.
of minutes. Yeah. If they get the rush again and they go for the death push and they don't succeed, that's probably the point where the game turns in Rave's favor. So we're getting to a very critical point in the game. Because Jeo's, if Rave win another fight, Jeo's got another 1, maybe 2 more items. And at that point, Gyrocopter just becomes too difficult maybe for you to control. You'll need to have that Hex on the bounty, you'll need to have that potential to pick him off.
Yeah, well, Roshan is going to be the big point of contest here, I think. AU, okay, well, they found a kill on the bounty. Oh, have they? Chrissy's run out of mana. Chrissy has no mana left, and now the turnaround as Nature's Prophet comes in. So, Bounty, you kind of feel, hey, look, it's this squishy little guy. He's running around, he doesn't have too much HP. And that's what you expect. The majority of the game, he's been running around with 800, 900 HP. It's been a relatively simple kill for the Storm Spirit to jump on. Now, Vit Booster, Ultimate Orb, 1500 or 1400 HP. What are you going to do? How are you going to stop this guy?
Yeah, I don't know. I keep coming back to it, but it's Gyrocopter having lots of items and winning a team fight with Flak Cannon. Look at this interesting ward. Have you seen this ward over here? This is... I've not seen that ward placed.
I've seen wards, you know, sort of across this ridge in that area, and I've seen wards like down in the actual valley itself on both sides to watch for movement between. But yeah, that's quite a nice ward. I think the big thing is you see the little area here off in the trees, the little fog area. Nature's Prophet and Earthshaker, great place for them to TP into. So if someone does try sort of sneaky little moves around, you can always jump on them, silence them up,
and putting it off far to the side, even though you might see a bit less. It's much less likely to be countered. Unless there's a gem, you're not going to see a sentry to counter that ward.
Yeah. Bottom lane, Geocopter. Flat cannon through the creep wave. Looks like TNC are just waiting for Roshan right now. They're not actually pushing too far across the river. They're not pushing across the river at all. 7 on the Earthshaker's got 4 staff after his Blink Dagger. The Desolator we saw from the Nature's Prophet earlier on, now he has a Demon Edge of his own. Preempting the Butterfly out from Gyro, could be going for a Daedalus even.
He depends a lot on his BKB for survivability though, the Nature's Prophet, and it's one weakness I suppose of their strategy, that they expect him to do quite a lot of damage in fights, and he's definitely killable. We saw that happen in one of the recent fights. He had buyback there. If he keeps buyback, it's actually going to be, instead of a weakness, an advantage. You know, having a killable Nature's Prophet with buyback, it's fine, use some stuff, kill me, I'll buyback, TP right in. It's kind of like having an Aegis. But if he doesn't have buyback, it's the only thing keeping him alive in a fight is the BKB. And
Looks
Rush
like
is just respawned, we'll see the Rush kill, and
looks like Roshan's going to go the way of TNC, and that's going to give them a nice big bolstering of power. Desolator, Edict, so many things now that allow them to take down Roshan quickly, and then also transition into a push. Rave were looking at this tier 1 at mid and thinking, hang on a second guys, there's a tier 1 standing 40 minutes into this game. That is almost unheard of this patch, right? That just doesn't happen.
okay, so that's cheese for Razor and Aegis for Leshrac. But yeah, look, if TNC go for the death push now, and Rave successfully defend their base, kill a bunch of TNC heroes, I want to say for me that's a sign that Rave are very much in the game and like possibly turning it around. Like TNC should be able to get structural damage here, or at least force a bunch of buybacks. If they can't, it's a cause for concern.
Yeah. I think buybacks, you mentioned, are going to be the big thing here. Storm has, but Gyro does as well, so multiple buybacks are available on the key heroes from Rave. But TNC, structural damage, I like that. How much can they do? How many buildings can they take? How many heroes can they kill before the buybacks even come out? Because look at that. Razor with the Aghanim's upgrade, level 3 ultimate, the Desolator out, the Tombstone is already dead. So the main deterrent here for TNC to say, hang on a second, maybe we don't take this fight, is gone. Death Ward dropped. Basically, Rave are throwing everything they possibly can. Ayo, okay, Sunstop, the cooldown will come as well, but the BKB, Leshrac, Echo Slam, Chrissy's gone! Has to buy back, gonna try and jump into this fight. TNC, one by one, Jo being soloed by Sam on this Nature's Prophet, but he is caught with a Vortex. Chrissy will find that kill. Noji Cheese, time to use that. Vacuum, but not back into the wall. One buyback expended was that by the Storm Spirit. And Aegis the Immortal still up on that Leshrac, so TNC still in a commanding position to go for round 2 onto that tier. Look at tier 3 is on 30 HP. Yeah. Oh no.
They pretty much got the tower there. It's too bad they didn't get the gyro. They very nearly got the gyro, and it was basically just Sam attacking him. I don't know if Sam's move there was really interesting. Witch Doctor was channeling Death Ward. He teleported from like here across there and orchided him. And then just started hitting the gyrocopter after Witch Doctor was dead. I really like the move. It's just, yeah, if they kill the gyro and force the second buyback there, that's almost it for me. Yeah. Because the gyro doesn't have to buy back, it makes it that much more likely that you can get to another item. And right now, Rave's chances of winning this game depend on how many items Gyrocopter gets.
Well, the Razor, speaking of items, he's almost got his heart finished, and that's a full hex completed over on the Bounty Hunter. So TNC, once again, one step ahead in terms of itemization. Net worth, 20k on the Leshrac. Gyro is now second place with 18,000, but look at that Nature's Prophet and Razor, not too far behind. The Darkseer is ahead of the Storm Spirit, for Christ's sake. With Pipe
Joe
Mech
just bought a Morbid Mask. He doesn't want to be 1v1 by the Nature's Prophet.
Oh, yeah. What is okay, Nature's Prophet, has he finished off MKB? He's still with the Demon Edge. So that death did send him back a little bit, and there's a Hex for Darkseer. So again, Rio's shoulders, they've got to hold the weight here, because a lot of it does rest on his back. Looking for the Hex onto Leshrac or Furion, trying to get that counter initiation just perfect.
Yeah, that's you can almost picture Jay
Dire's
saying,
middle
just
tower is
just
under
keep it up,
attack.
guys. Just hold on. Once I'm 6 slotted, I'll take over. But for now, you guys have to carry the weight. And absolutely right. All of Rio's moves are going to be key here. When does he mech? When does he pipe? Does he blink in? Does he get a good wall, a good vacuum, an important hex? All very, very important. Look at Chrissy. He's just been standing around the top lane. I think hoping that Sam would come up here and he might be able to kill him.
I think it's a case of, okay, you know, it's going to be difficult to defend this tier 3 because it's on such low health, so we have to get something done elsewhere on the map right now, like this very second. There is just a matter of urgency as the Tombstones drop Vacuum onto 2. They've caught them. The cooldown will land on the Hex onto Ayo. They've taken down the Bounty Hunter instantly as now Nature's Prophet is doing a ton of damage to Chrissy. The Storm now has to contend with a 2-man split Earth from Teehee, ripping it apart. Pulse Nova destroying Rave. Ninja Boogie walking past his own tombstone, digging his grave. The Undying is now dead. Can buy back and probably will have to if they want to hold their racks because Jayo's back. He is used as gold to return to the land of the living, but racks are falling. Aghanim's upgraded Lightning Storm. Teehee with the Edict level 4. Racks bot gone. Tier 3 gone.
Yeah.
Game is gone. GG is called and Rave tap out. Game number 1 here in this best of 3. Boy,
Actually,
oh boy, TNC.
all the talk of Rio and Jayo, it's actually Chrissy who failed to have an impact in that fight. I don't know if you saw, he rolled to the back on Earthshaker, and the Earthshaker had a Force Staff and a Shadow Amulet, and just like, cool, you can orc at me, I go invisible. Now what? So Chrissy had used all his mana, hadn't really impacted the fight, and yeah, you said TNC just continued to impress us, and what I especially like about this game is it feels like a different kind of victory, where they waited it out quite long. They didn't have to just slide on their early momentum. They waited and eventually took the right gap and finished out the game then. So showing another dimension of the team, and we'll have to see if Rave can respond. Team Malaysia did, remember. Team Malaysia won back the second game when they faced TNC, so maybe Rave will do that as well.
The big thing there was Team Malaysia responded by banning out Drow Ranger and dealing with the Drow strat. This is game number 1 where TNC did not have that option available to them. So they've come straight out of the gate saying, hey look, you banned what you thought were our best heroes, Queen of Pain, the Drow and the Clinks, and you know, fair enough, they've dominated with those heroes and those kind of strats, but we are not a one-trick pony by any means. Rave, they've got a lot of work to do coming into game 2. After this short break, we'll be back soon. This best of 3 is only getting started, guys. Corsair Gaming Arena here with Durka and Scant. Don't go anywhere, we'll be back in a couple of minutes.